Hands up who likes the taste of liver. Well, unless you're a cat, you probably don't. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of liver either, but today I'm gonna show you a delicious recipe for liver pâté that's incredibly quick to make, and best of all, it doesn't taste like liver. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe and you hit the little alert button so you get notified when I publish more recipe like this. Hey guys, Michael Kummer here, and did you know that liver is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet? That's right, liver has vitamin A, B3, B5, B6, B12, D, E, K2, zinc, iron, copper, potassium, cofactor Q10, choline, you name it, it's got it. So if you're looking for a superfood, don't look at kale and spirulina and all those plant-based sources, look at liver. In fact, I recently heard a good quote that said, if you're concerned about your micronutrient intake from food, eat more meat, and in particular, organ meat. The problem is, organ meat is often not incredibly delicious, and so many people don't eat it on a regular basis, even though they should. And so in today's recipe, I'm gonna use almost a pound of liver, beef liver, from a pastured cow. You can really use any type of liver. We've bought chicken liver, they have them at Whole Foods, a whole jar full of them. You can use that. You can use beef, you can use pork, whatever you have access to. I've got beef liver from a cow, from a pastured cow that we purchased. Or the meat of that cow, I should say. The other thing, and that's one of the most important ingredients here, is the fat. And so again, you can use different types of fat. I use approximately a 1/4 cup of bacon fat. So this morning I made pastured bacon, or I fried them in the pan, and then I took out the bacon pieces, and what remained behind is the fat. And everything tastes good with bacon fat, so and that liver pâté is no exception. So I saved the fat, but you can use butter. Last time I used butter for my pâté. You can use duck fat. There are, at Whole Foods you can find all kinds of different fats. Just don't use vegetable oils. The other thing we have here then is salt. We use onions. You can use sweet onions. You can use red onions. You can use regular white onions. We use garlic. And then some sort of spice. I have here a spice mix. You can use an Italian herb mix or whatever. You can use rosemary. We have peppercorns, and then just 2 tablespoons of either balsamic vinegar or apple cider vinegar, whatever you have. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the liver and cut them into small pieces. And the smaller you cut them, the easier it is then to blend everything, because that's one of the things we need to do. So we are cutting the liver here, and I have to give a shout out to one of my CrossFit buddies. He absolutely hates organ meat, and I told him we're gonna have an organ party once this Corona thing is over. And so this is definitely gonna be one of the dishes that I'll be serving at that organ party that nobody's gonna attend. All right, the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna melt the fat. And once the fat is melted, we're gonna add some of the onions. And here you can use a whole onion, you can use a little less. Same goes with the garlic. Put in as much as you like. I'm just probably gonna use about half of this and a couple of teaspoons of garlic. That's pretty much it, but feel free to add as much as little as you like. If you've been following my blog, you probably know that this is a recipe that's paleo, but it's also keto-friendly. It's very high in fat, in fact. Liver is protein, it's got fat. The bacon fat obviously is fat, and then the veggies don't really make a huge difference in terms of macronutrients. So it's an excellent ketogenic snack. It's a paleo snack, and I love eating it with cheese, but you can dip it into veggies or dip veggies into it. However you want to eat it. I like it with cheese. The fat here is almost melted, so we can go ahead and start pouring in the garlic and the onions. So we just let that simmer here for maybe 5 minutes until the onions and the garlic are all soft, and then we'll add the liver. And when you add the liver or when you cook the liver, make sure it doesn't completely cook through. You want to have like a pink center, because many of the nutrients that I've mentioned before are heat sensitive. So you don't want to completely destroy everything and fry the liver and have it hard. It gets chewy then as well. So make sure it's got a pink center before taking it out. Hey Siri, count down 5 minutes. Or ignore me. The other thing while this is cooking, what I could mention is, if pâté is not your cup of tea, the other thing that we often do to make our kids eat liver or encourage them to eat liver is to simply mix the liver, pieces of liver, into meatballs. So we use ground meat, and then we process the liver in a food processor and mix it into the meatballs, into the ground meat before making meatballs. And you cannot taste the liver at all, but it's obviously there. And so that's another way to sneak liver or organ meat into your kids or your own diet for that matter. Alrighty, so our 5 minutes are over. Now let's get in the liver. Again, make sure it doesn't cook too long. You don't want to overcook it. In fact, the first time I made pâté, I just browned it very lightly on each side so it was raw in the middle. The problem with that approach is that you really have to be careful once everything is said and done to not leave it in the fridge too long and to eat it relatively quickly, because otherwise it can spoil. So that's why lately what I'm doing is I'm making sure it's almost cooked through. I mean, it's, again, pink in the center, like a medium type. And while this is still cooking, we're gonna add some of our spices. We're gonna add the salt. And I'm only gonna add 1 tablespoon of salt, because this guy is salt as well. That's from Redmond real salt, and it's a spice mix basically. I'm gonna add it here. And then we're gonna add a splash of, well, actually 2 tablespoons of aged balsamic vinegar. You can use apple cider vinegar, whatever you have, doesn't matter. And just stir it and let it simmer for a little bit longer, maybe a minute longer, and then we'll put it into our food processor here and process it so it becomes a creamy texture. And then we'll take all of that and put it into my glass bowls, and we're ready. So it takes maybe all in all 10 minutes to prepare. Once the pâté is done, you want to put it in the fridge overnight. I think it tastes even better as it ages a little bit in the fridge. But you can obviously eat it right away while it's still warm, or you wait until it's cold. Of course, don't forget the liquids, because that's the bacon fat. That's the most important part of this whole thing, almost, besides the liver. All right, that'll do it. And don't be discouraged if it's all like soup, because obviously the bacon fat is hot and liquid, but I promise you, and it kind of looks like this now, if you can see that. But that is pretty much it. That's as easy as it is. If, again, pâté is not your thing, if meatballs are not your thing, but you still wanna increase your liver intake, then there is actually one other thing that I started taking recently, and those are grass-fed liver capsules. So you take 6 of these, and it contains a serving of liver. Doesn't taste like anything. I mean, you just drink them with water. That's also an option, but of course you always wanna prefer and choose fresh food if possible. And I think with this recipe, if you have never tried liver before, if you have and you don't like it, chances are you'll like the pâté. So give it a try. Let me know by leaving a comment below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, this button seems to be working as well. Until next time.